Tonight, we're not chasing a perfect version of you. We're choosing a gentler relationship with the version who is already here. The one who has been trying so hard, the one who keeps showing up even when your confidence wobbles, the one who sometimes speaks to you in a tone you would never use with someone you love. Let this be simple. Let it be honest. Let it be yours. Somewhere inside you, there is a place that is tired of being pushed, not lazy, not weak, just tired of being measured every minute. If you can feel that place, even a little, you're in the right room. And for a moment, you don't have to impress anyone. You don't have to prove you're doing it right. You only have to arrive. So arrive in the smallest way. Notice one point of contact right now. The weight of your body, where it meets a chair or a bed, the way your feet meet the floor, the way your shoulders are holding a day. You don't need to change anything yet. Just notice, as if you're finally allowing yourself to be real. If you can, let your breath be natural and unforced, like a tide that knows its own rhythm, not big, not dramatic, simply present. You may have clicked on this because you want life to soften, not because life is cruel all the time, but because it's been sharp around the edges, because your mind has been gripping, because your heart has been bracing, because even when something good happens, you're already preparing for the next thing to go wrong. And when people say, just love yourself, it can sound like a slogan, like a poster, like something meant for other people who have it easier. But self-love, my dear, is not a mood you wait for. It's a practice you return to. It's a language you learn, one sentence at a time. And it doesn't require you to pretend you feel amazing. It requires you to tell the truth with kindness. For the next 21 days, you're not being asked to transform overnight. You're giving yourself a container, a soft boundary of time that says, I'm willing to meet myself here consistently. 21 days is not a magic number. It's a gentle handrail, a simple agreement. I will come back to myself even when I forget. Because forgetting is part of being human. Let's begin with a quiet truth. The way you talk to yourself becomes the weather you live under. If your inner voice is harsh, you don't just hear it. You live inside it. And if your inner voice is kind, you don't just think it. You feel held. So tonight, we practice building a home inside your own mind. Maybe your harshness started as protection. Maybe criticism felt like control. Maybe you learned that if you caught your own mistakes fast enough, you could avoid embarrassment, rejection, or disappointment. Maybe you thought being hard on yourself would keep you moving. And it did for a while. It got you through things. It kept you alert. It made you capable. But being capable is not the same as being cared for. And you are allowed to want care. Here is your first small shift. When the harsh voice appears, you don't have to fight it or obey it. You can pause and ask gently, what's asking for care right now? Not what's wrong with me? Not why am I like this? But what's asking for care right now? That question changes the temperature in the room. Try it in your own way. A part of you might answer, I'm tired, I'm lonely, I'm afraid. I feel behind, I feel unseen, I feel like I'm carrying too much. Whatever arises, let it be welcomed. You don't have to solve it in this moment. You only have to stop abandoning it. I am learning to be on my own side. Let that land, not as a performance, but as a direction. I am learning to be on my own side. And if another part of you says, "That's not true, that's okay," you can make it even gentler. I am willing to learn to be on my own side. Willingness is powerful. It opens the door without forcing you through it. Now, let's talk about softness, because some people fear it. They hear soften, and they think it means surrendering, becoming passive, letting others walk all over them. But softness is not weakness. Softness is safety. Softness is the steady hand on your own shoulder when you feel like running. Softness is the calm voice that says, "We can handle this," without pretending it's easy. Safety is built in sentences, not speeches. So today, we choose a kinder tone, not because you've earned it, but because your nervous system, your heart, your whole life responds to gentleness. Many people discover that when they stop yelling at themselves internally, they have more energy, more clarity, more patience, not magically, naturally, because they are no longer wasting fuel on self-attack. Here's a simple line to return to for the next 21 days. My love is steady even when my feelings cease. Hanks, my love is steady even when my feelings change. And if that feels too big, soften it again. I can be steady with myself in small ways. That is enough. Sometimes the most healing thing you can do is stop making everything a project. You are not a problem to be fixed. You are a person to be supported. Let that be a practical mantra. I can support myself. I can support myself. How? In tiny ways that fit inside real life. You can support yourself by drinking water when you realize you've been running on fumes. You can support yourself by unclenching your jaw. You can support yourself by resting without apologizing to your own mind. You can support yourself by saying no when your yes is a lie. You can support yourself by letting one small task be enough for today. And you can support yourself by choosing a new sentence when your old sentence is cruel. If you want a simple moment of tenderness right now, imagine speaking to yourself as if you're speaking to a dear friend, not with fake sweetness, but with warmth and respect. You might say, "I see how hard you're trying," or "You don't have to do this alone," or "I'm proud of you for staying," or "It's okay to take this one step at a time." Then offer these two lines quietly, like a promise you keep. I am here with you. I am not leaving you. Let those words settle into your chest, into your belly, into the places that have been bracing. Now let's name something many people carry. Shame. Shame is that heavy feeling that says, "There's something wrong with me." It's not the same as noticing a mistake. Shame tries to become your identity. It tries to make you small. But shame hates the light of compassion. The part of you that feels unlovable is often the part that has been carrying too much for too long. The part that was never properly comforted. The part that learned to hide to stay safe. When shame shows up, you don't need to argue with it. You don't need to win a debate in your head. You can answer with understanding. You can say, Of course you feel this way. You've been through a lot. Or, I hear you and I choose kindness. Or, even this part of me deserves care. Even this part of me deserves care. You are not your harshest thought. You are not the worst thing you've ever believed about yourself. You are not the snapshot of you on your hardest day. You are the whole story, and the story continues. So here is a vow, not to be perfect, not to be endlessly positive. Just this: I will not punish myself into peace. Say it again in your own voice. I will not punish myself into peace. Peace does not come from being bullied into submission. Peace comes from being met. Now we move to forgiveness, and I want to say this gently because forgiveness can be misunderstood. Forgiveness is not approval. It is not pretending something didn't hurt. It is not saying, that was fine. Forgiveness in this practice is release. It is unclenching. It is choosing not to carry the same weight every day. Sometimes the person you need to forgive is you, the old you, the younger you, the you who chose from fear, from limited information, from craving love, from trying to survive. If you've been holding your past like a stone in your pocket, you can set it down, little by little, not to erase the lesson, but to free your hands for what's next. A sentence that helps many people is this: I did the best I could with what I knew then. I did the best I could with what I knew then. And if you're not ready to fully believe it, try. I am open to seeing myself with more compassion. That counts. Your heart, my love, is not a courtroom. It does not have to sentence you forever. Forgiveness is a door you walk through for your own freedom. Think of your heart like a clenched ribbon. When you keep pulling, it tightens and frays. When you stop pulling, it relaxes and it curls back into beauty. You don't force the curl, you simply release the tension. That's what we're doing here, releasing tension. Now let's talk about receiving, because giving yourself compassion is one thing, letting it land is another. Some people can say kind words, but they don't let them in. The words bounce off like rain on a roof. Compliments make them cringe. Rest makes them anxious. A good moment makes them suspicious. If that is you, please be gentle. Receiving is a skill. It can feel unfamiliar, and unfamiliar can feel unsafe, even when it's good. So we practice receiving in tiny, believable doses. When something kind happens, you might simply say, I'm letting this count. That's it. I'm letting this count. When you do something well, you might say, I acknowledge my effort. Not bragging, not inflating, just acknowledging. When you notice beauty, you might say, I allow myself to enjoy this. Enjoyment is not a crime. Ease is not something you must earn by suffering first. Where do you tighten when something kind comes near you? The throat, the belly, the shoulders. Just noticing is a form of love. Here is an affirmation to practice gently. I let the good reach me. I let the good reach me. And another, softer. It is safe to be supported. It is safe to be supported. You don't have to force yourself to trust everything. You only have to practice trusting one small moment at a time. Now I want to share a short story, not to teach you a lesson, but to offer you a mirror. There was a woman named Mira who used to keep her days packed so she wouldn't have to feel them. Not because she was ambitious in the glamorous way, but because quiet made her anxious. In the quiet, her mind would start reviewing her life like a critic. What she didn't do, what she didn't say, what she should have been by now. One morning, Mira spilled coffee on her shirt as she rushed out the door. It was a small, thin G, but her inner voice jumped on it immediately. Of course you did. You can't even handle a cup of coffee. She felt that familiar heat of shame in her face, that tightness in her chest. She paused in her kitchen, holding the stained fabric, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't continue the attack. She remembered a sentence she'd been practicing. What's asking for care right now? The answer surprised her. Not more discipline, not a better plan. The answer was, I'm overwhelmed. I'm scared. I'm failing. So she put the shirt in the sink, took one slow breath, and said out loud, I'm here with you. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't erase her schedule, but something softened. Her shoulders dropped. Her eyes stopped searching for the next mistake. She changed her shirt, and before leaving, she added one more sentence. I will not punish myself into peace. That day wasn't perfect. She still felt stressed. She still got irritated in traffic. But when her inner voice started to sharpen, she met it with that same steady line, and slowly the day stopped feeling like an audition. What changed wasn't the coffee. It was her loyalty to herself. You can do that too. Not all at once, not forever, just today, just this moment. Loyalty to yourself is built in small acts. Now let's shape this into a daily ritual you can return to for 21 days. Keep it simple enough that you can do it even on messy days. First, choose one anchor phrase, one sentence that feels believable, not grand, not sugary, just supportive. For example, I am learning to be kind to myself, or I can meet myself with compassion today, or I am safe to return to. Second, add a mirror moment if you want it. You might look at your own eyes for a few seconds and speak your anchor phrase. If you don't want the mirror, you can place a hand on your heart or simply imagine your own face with kindness. The point is presence, not performance. Third, choose a return line for hard minutes. This is your lifeline when you're triggered, rushed, embarrassed, or disappointed. Something like, I'm here with you, or one step, one breath, or let's be gentle. That's it. Anchor phrase, optional mirror moment, return line. And here's the quiet secret. The ritual works because it makes you reliable to yourself, not because it changes life instantly, but because it changes how you hold life. Micro recap, sweet one, kinder words, softer grip, steadier return. Now, let's move through an affirmation flow you can listen to daily. Let these words be invitations. Take what fits, leave what doesn't. You are not required to force belief. You are only invited to practice a new direction. I am willing to treat myself with respect. I am allowed to be a work in progress and still be worthy. My love for myself can be practical and real. I release the habit of speaking to myself with cruelty. I choose a tone that helps me heal and grow. I am learning to trust my one presence. I can be gentle and still be strong. I let the good reach me. I am here with you. I am not leaving you. If your mind resists, that's normal. Resistance is often the sound of an old identity trying to stay in control. You can thank it for trying to protect you and still choose a softer way. You might say, I hear the fear, and I'm choosing kindness anyway. Because kindness is not denial, kindness is alignment. And now let's add one small practice that helps self-love become less abstract. Once a day, notice one moment you handled with care. It can be tiny. You answered a message you didn't want to answer. You washed a dish. You got up after a hard moment. You stopped and drank water. You didn't send the text that would have harmed you. You took a breath before reacting. Then acknowledge it. Say, that mattered, because it did. Many people live their lives collecting evidence that they are failing. This practice helps you collect evidence that you are trying, learning, growing, and showing up. Not to inflate your ego, to tell the truth. Another truth line for your 21 days. You don't have to earn gentleness to deserve it. If that challenges you, let it be a doorway, not a demand, a doorway. Now there will be days in these 21 where you forget, where you snap at yourself, where you roll your eyes at the whole idea, where you think, this is pointless. Those are not failed days. Those are practice days. Because the practice is not never being harsh. The practice is noticing and returning. Noticing and returning, like coming back to the path after wandering. If you can catch yourself in the middle of a harsh thought and soften it by 10%, that is progress. If you can go from I'm a mess to I'm having a messy moment, that is progress. If you can go from I always ruin everything to this is hard and I'm learning, that is progress. Speak to yourself in the language of the present moment, not the language of forever. Now let's bring in a spiritual light blessing, not as certainty, but as possibility. Maybe there is a wiser part of you that has been waiting patiently, not judging you, not rushing you, just waiting for you to turn toward yourself with tenderness. Maybe your life doesn't need you to be perfect. Maybe your life needs you to be present. And maybe, as you practice being present with yourself, life begins to feel less sharp, not because the world suddenly changes, but because you stop meeting the world with clenched fists. You begin to meet it with open hands. Micro recap again softly. You are building inner safety, releasing shame, loosening the past, and learning to receive. If you want one final phrase to carry with you tonight, let it be this. I belong to myself. I belong to myself. Not in a lonely way, in a devoted way, in a way that says you are not disposable to your own heart. And as you step into your days, you can keep it simple. When you notice tension, you soften your jaw. When you notice self-attack, you ask for care. When you notice shame, you offer compassion. When you notice the past pulling, you release a little. When you notice goodness, you let it count. That is a self-love life, not flashy, not fake, real. So, my dear, may your words become warmer. May your inner voice become a place you can rest. May you learn, day by day, that you are worth your own kindness. May your mistakes become teachers, not weapons. May your heart unclench like a ribbon released. May you feel supported, especially by you. And if you return to this for 21 days, let it be a quiet devotion, not a test. Some days will feel tender, some days will feel neutral, some days will feel resistant. All of them can belong because you belong. I'm here with you, and you are here with you. Let life soften as you soften toward yourself. Before we close, I want to speak to the part of you that thinks self-love is something you only do when you feel calm. Real life rarely waits for calm. It arrives with messages, deadlines, family dynamics, noise, silence, and the quiet pressure to be fine. So we make this practical in the moments that usually steal your tenderness. When you make a mistake, your old pattern may be to tighten, to replay it, to punish yourself so you won't repeat it. But punishment doesn't create wisdom, it creates fear. Wisdom sounds different. Wisdom says, I see what happened and I can learn. Wisdom says, I can repair what I can and release the rest. Wisdom says, I'm still worthy of gentleness. If I love myself feels too far away today, step closer, one rung at a time. You can say, I'm open to liking myself, or I'm learning to respect myself, or I'm willing to stop being cruel to myself, or simply, I'm trying. Trying is evidence of life. Here is a gentle question. What would change if you stopped treating your heart like it's on probation? And because self-love is not only internal, we include one more skill: boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they're clarity. Some days, self-love isn't a candle and a quiet playlist. Some days, self-love is a clean no. No to over-explaining. No to being available at your own expense. No to pretending you're okay when you're not. No to returning to what keeps injuring you. No to the inner voice that demands perfection. A truth line for you. A loving no makes room for a true yes. If boundaries feel hard, it may be because you learned that being needed was safer than being honest, but you can be kind and honest at the same time. You can practice one boundary sentence over these 21 days. I can't do that today. I need more time. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available for that conversation. See, it with respect, then let your body learn that clarity does not equal danger. Now let's speak to the part of you that carries old grief, the part that still remembers what it felt like to be overlooked, criticized, or compared, the part that might be younger than you are now, still waiting for someone to say, you're enough. You can be that someone, not by babying yourself, but by offering steady care. When you speak kindly to yourself, you are giving your own heart a new reference point. If it helps, imagine your younger self sitting beside you, watching your face. They don't need a lecture. They need your presence. They need to know you won't disappear when feelings get messy. So say softly, I'm here, and mean it. Over the next 21 days, you might notice certain themes repeating. the same insecurities, the same triggers, the same inner arguments. That's not because you're stuck. It's because your mind is showing you the places where love is needed most. When the same fear returns, greet it with familiarity. Oh, you again. Then answer, and I'm still here, and I choose kindness. This is what rewiring looks like in real life, not lightning bolts, repetition. A new response practiced until it becomes natural, and because you're human, your new response will not be perfect. Sometimes you'll remember after the fact, sometimes halfway through a spiral, sometimes quickly. All of it counts. Here is another gentle question. If your inner voice were a person in your home, would you let them speak to you the way they do? If the answer is no, then you already know what you deserve. One way to insist on it is to choose a tone, not just words. Tone, calm, respectful, steady. When you catch the harsh voice, you can say, "Not like that," and then try again in a kinder tone. That is self-love in motion. Now, a tiny body cue, not as a cure, simply as care. Once or twice a day, place one hand on your chest and one on your belly for a moment. Feel your own warmth. Then offer one sentence you can believe, like, "This is hard and I can be kind," or "I'm doing my best today," or "I'm allowed to slow down." You're not forcing a feeling, you're offering a cue of safety. Micro recap, sweet one. Notice, soften, speak kindly, return. Let's deepen receiving, because it's where many people stumble. If you learn that kindness came with strings, you may keep your heart guarded by reflex. So receiving begins in tiny, safe doses. Let the warmth of sunlight on your hand count. Let the relief of finishing one task count. Let a friend's kind message count. Let the taste of your tea count. Say, "I'm letting this count." Here is a metaphor for your 21 days. Think of self-love like stitching a quilt. One stitch doesn't look like much, but you keep returning with thread, and slowly warmth is made. Each day you choose one kind sentence, you add a stitch. Each time you pause instead of attacking yourself, you add a stitch. Each time you forgive, you add a stitch. Words aren't magic, spells, and you don't have to pretend they are. But words shape attention. They direct your mind. So we're not worshiping words. We're guiding your attention toward kindness instead of cruelty. Each day, ask yourself 3 soft questions. What do I need today? What can I let go of today? What kind sentence can I offer myself today? One-word answers are enough. Then give yourself one small act of support that matches your answer. Self-love is not a performance. It is a series of small alignments. And if you miss a day, you have not failed. You simply return. The only rule is return. Here are a few affirmations you can weave into ordinary moments, especially when you're tempted to turn on yourself. I am worthy of my own kindness. I can begin again without shame. My pace is allowed to be my pace. I release comparison and return to my own life. I trust myself to learn as I go. I speak to myself with respect. I allow support to find me. I belong to myself. If your mind says, "Words are just words," you can answer, "Yes, and words are also directions." A harsh direction leads you into tension. A kind direction leads you into steadiness. You're choosing the direction, not guaranteeing an outcome. And when goodness shows up, practice enjoying it without clinging. If your mind whispers, "Don't get used to this," you can whisper back, "I can enjoy this moment, and I can handle the next one." Enjoyment is not a mistake. Ease is not something you must earn by suffering first. A final truth line to hold close. You don't have to earn gentleness to deserve it. Let that be your quiet rebellion for these 21 days. If someone else is having a hard day, you don't usually fix it by scolding them for having feelings. You offer presence. You offer perspective. You offer a little patience. Give yourself the same. And if you do slip into old self-talk, you can repair it in one sentence. You can say, "That was harsh," and then, "Let me try again." Repair is love. It keeps you connected to yourself, instead of turning one difficult moment into a whole identity. Here is a gentle question to end this section. What would it feel like to be loyal to yourself in the next 5 minutes? Loyalty can look like slowing your breath. Loyalty can look like drinking water. Loyalty can look like stepping away from a conversation that's turning sharp. Loyalty can look like letting your shoulders drop and allowing your face to soften just for a moment. Small loyalties build a life that feels safer to live in. You don't need to win against yourself. You only need to stop making yourself the enemy and start becoming your own refuge right now.